Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay. In a recent video, I did a discussion talking about how the Altoids tins are great components of a larger kit, but that I felt that just an Altoids tin couldn't hold enough to really affect your survival a whole lot. It was a teddy bear. It was something that you could carry that gave you the illusion that I have some stuff, but in reality, it's very niche based. And although I said in the video that I believe it is a very worthwhile mental challenge to try to shrink everything down to that, I took a lot of flack for saying teddy bear. And I apologize. I wasn't trying to be rude. I'm just trying to be real. And so because of that, quite a few of you showed me other videos of other people doing things. And one of them is one of the Pathfinder instructors. And the name of his channel is, and in it he tried to put the 10 C's into a cup. And so several of you sent me that video suggesting that something that I could follow along or accept the challenge. Therefore, that's what we're going to do today. What is the smallest kit that I think that I have of my gear that I could get away with to follow the 10 C's and still call it a really usable kit? Okay? Now for those of you that do not remember, let us refresh. The 10 C's are a cutting tool, a combustion device, cordage, a container, a cover, a tarp or something, candling device, a compass, cotton cloth, cargo tape, and a canvas sail needle or some sort of repair needle. Okay, challenge accepted. Let's see how small I can go. Let's start, not necessarily in the exact order, but let's start with a container. I thought about this. The 1 quart Pathfinder bush pot was heavily in the running about what I could put into it and put into a carrier. Now the carrier for that, I have this bag that I got from Campcraft that the 1 quart fits down in, and I could put quite a bit of gear into that. Okay, so I do want you to know that I thought real hard about this, and there's a good chance that that could be the final product. The other thing was I wanted to keep it in one of these general purpose canteen cover carriers. Could I do it in this? So the 1 quart bush pot, you take the lid off, put it down here at the bottom, and then load it up with gear to slide it down into the cover. I also for a moment thought about my old little bitty bush pot that I had for God knows how many years in living history. I've cooked a ton of meals in this, boiled water and etc. And I did consider this, but there is no accessories to this. And so that's one of the things I want to look at. What can I add? Now with the Pathfinder bush pot, I think, I'm not sure, I think they do make a little stove that goes on the bottom of this. I don't have one, but I do have it for my canteen cups. Another one that I considered very heavily is a U.S. Army canteen cup with the stove, because I have fed myself tons of times with this and set it up and made it work real well. Just by pulling that stove off, turn around and set it on there, and I've got a fully functional cook pot right there, with or without the lid, and that lid's heavy. If I wanted to save weight, I'd ditch the lid, but I have cooked, I boil water, and that's a meaningful amount of water I could boil. I could then, after I got it boiled, I could go sit it back in the water, making sure water didn't get up to the lip, and allow it to cool so I could drink it. Because I'm not carrying a canteen. This kit will be relying upon you have food or water available. If not, it's a 72-hour kit to keep you alive till you get back. That's the purpose of this challenge. So I thought heavily about this. We'll get back to this. So, let's start out, see if we could make it fit on the U.S. Army canteen. So there is the stove. There's the legs. Now in the very bottom of our carrier down here, and this is just a standard military surplus carrier, we're going to take folded up aluminum foil. Now this is big sections, like 4-foot sections of the extra heavy duty aluminum foil that I have folded up into these packets. I always put these in the bottom. Multi-use and survival. One, it's a clean place to process food. It's also something that I can wrap meat or vegetables up in and actually cook in the coals. So it's a cooking pot unto itself. Plus I can use these to form into a cup, form into a bowl. Whatever I need, I can make it with this pretty easily. So they're going to go all the way in the bottom. And then in goes that canteen cup. Now, so we've got a container, and we've got a container right there. That's covered. Now let's talk about the other thing I'm going to go ahead and just plug in, because it's the smallest I got handy. And that is my cover element. That's this little tarp set up. I carry this in my haversack. It's not quite, but it's close to like 5 feet wide and close to 7 feet long. It's just big enough I can make that shelter out of it and get underneath it and be out of the weather for just me. And it's already got the tent stakes right there. There's aluminum tent stakes, and it's already got thin diameter, heavy breaking strength saltwater fishing line as my ridge line and guy lines is in there. So with that, I can set that shelter up just like you saw with my haversack on the tree. That's what it was behind it. So this is going to be the cover element. This is my tent, so to speak. And it will go right there in that 1/2. I'm running out of space in a hurry now, ain't I? So there is the cover element. Now, candling device. I carry in my pocket every day a rechargeable O light. Okay? That could be the candling device. Or, and you've seen this in my haversack videos, I carry this little bitty light I picked up at Walmart. It's a directional, and it has a pull that out and it acts like a little floodlight. It's got a clip where you can hang it up. It has a long run time on a battery, and so that's the reason I'm going to choose this, because I think the last time I ran it with a really good AA battery, I ran it the full length, and I think it was like 5 hours I got out of this light. Using it judiciously, this will be fine. I'll slide that in right there. Now, we've got a candling device taken care of. A compass. I considered several choices. The Kaminga, but really that's overkill. I'm not carrying a map or protractor or pacing beads. So all I've got is dead reckoning. The compass is to keep me from walking in a circle and to help me box myself and come back. Before I go into any area I'm not intimately knowledgeable of, I'm going to look at an aerial view picture of it on Google Maps or whatever and figure out what's to the north, what's to the east, what's to the south, what's to the west. So that if I come in on the south side, there's a road running full length, and that's the road I turn off of onto the dirt road to come in, I go to my thing. To the east is a river, to the north is agricultural fields, and over here to the west is housing area. I know that all I got to do is head south, and I'm going to get back to that road I came in on and walk back. Maybe the long way around, but I have a dead reckoning heading. All I have to do is head south, and a compass will cover that. Now this is overkill because I'm not doing navigation. How about one of them little flat plate compasses like that? This would work well. I also have this little watch fob compass that I've tried, and this is the one I'm going to go with. I have tested against 3 of the compasses, and it is accurate. It doesn't weigh anything, and it's very small and compact. So therefore, this is what I'm going with. So that's going to drop in there now. I also chose, I want to look at, this is an old antique Boy Scout compass. An old Boy Scout pocket companies. that works well and would have been a choice had I needed it. So, compass. Now, comes to cargo tape. Cargo tape, I have a small roll of the Gorilla, but in multitasking, I also have a lighter that I've dialed up. Now, let me show you this right quick. This is the cargo tape, just the cargo tape. Here is the lighter that's already got a supply cargo tape on it. It's also got my needle on it for my repair and sewing. The cargo tape can be used to repair, can be used as a bandage, can be used as a tinder, and the thread is protected and held in place by the cargo tape, and this can be hooked. This is a fully functional lighter. So this is the cargo tape I'm going to go with. I am not going to have a large supply. That ain't a big supply either. But for repairs, for basic stuff, and to use as a band-aid or something like that, this will be just fine. So this is what I'm choosing. And since we've introduced that, and now we've got the sail needle done with, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the items. We lack cutting, combustion, cordage, and cotton cloth. So, looking at that, oh, by the way, I nearly forgot, back up a moment. I also considered this. This is a titanium bush pot. Titanium canteen cup set. That it has a lid, it's got the actual pot, and then it's got a stove. I considered this one extremely heavily and would consider it the backup, to be honest, because I feel that with this I would have a complete set to do all the above that I can do with the U.S. Army, and it would just be lighter weight. So I had seriously thought, and to be honest, I might swap it out for that. But that's the idea. It's still a canteen cup. I just put the lid on the bottom and leave it open for me to set my stuff in. Now that we're done with digression, and since we've just brought up that lighter, let's talk about fire, combustion. To me, a fire kit requires 3 forms of ignition, 2 of which should work when wet. It requires 3 forms of tinder, 2 of which should work when wet. Okay? So, what I've got is one of the mini infernos right there, so I'm going to include one of those wax things. This can be used when wet. And yes, this is going to be time sensitive because this would dry out over a long period of time. If I made up this kit, it's waxed, but if I made up this kit and left it in there for 2 years in the back of the car or something, this may age a little bit. It'll still burn, but it may not burn as fiery because of the combustibles may have dried out a bit. So, I've got a fully functional lighter. I've got a tinder. This works when wet, this works when wet. I just got to blow and clean it out, and we know we can do that. Second combustion form is matches. Now in this little bitty match safe, I have Yukio lifeboat matches and some regular matches, and there is my striker. There's 2 strikers in there. I slid them in there and made like an L. One's trapped in the bottom. I got to dump all the matches out, and then this quick grab one I can pull out that allows me to ignite. So I have matches and lighter. Why do I think that's important? Because matches do give you some advantage over a lighter when you've got a lot of wind and you're trying to shelter everything. And I've generated up a tinder bundle to catch a match from. I can strike it and just shove that lifeboat match into the middle and let go of the match and be able to shield or whatever, have both hands free for this to ignite. Can't do that with a lighter. When you let go, it quits. So I prefer matches in certain applications. Plus, these lifeboat matches will work when wet, and they'll work in that environment. So there is another tinder that's going to work when wet. It's going to burn, it's going to ignite when wet. So, that and a small block of fat wood will slide in here, and that's going to be the fire kit. So into here I'm going to put the lighter, wiggle that around, put in that tinder. I've already got the piece of fat lighter in there. And I'm going to put the match safe in there. Okay, now the last combustion. I want a fire rod. I want a ferro rod. I'm going to use this one, which is a pretty good size one with a ring on it. But I want to also point out that I did consider this one. This one unscrews and you have a small ferro rod, but you have a very good striker right there to be able to strike it. This was considered, but I'm going to go with a larger diameter ferro rod. The larger the better. Yeah, this is kind of short, but this would be pretty good. Should be better than this in sheer volume of sparks because it's bigger and wider. So that drops in. Now that we have done the combustion, let's talk about cutting tool. And this is a little bit of a conundrum. Size-wise, I want it small and compact. I'd love to have a big old belt knife, but that's not what this kit is it? It's supposed to be the smallest kit that covers all the 10 C's. And there must be some variety in there. So, looking through my knife sets, I did look at my Open L, which is very light, so it'd be very nice on the weight side of this. But it is rather flimsy. This is a good cutting tool. This isn't a pry bar and etc. So it would have to stick strictly in the cutting realm. Okay? So I had to reject that, even though it's nice and small and light. I also looked at my WC knife Mini. A nice hand-filling knife with a good strong blade with a good 90-degree spine on it would be great for shaving and processing, and you can do a lot of work with this little bitty knife. I considered it, but the sheath is what kicked it out. I love this sheath, and this sheath was made by my brother up at Randy Smith up at StitchedGear.com, and this is a great set, but too bulky with the sheath for what we're trying to do. I'm trying to be compact now. I don't have much room left, so I need a blade. The next one I looked at was this one. Now this is a Brill. This is a full tang knife, got a good 90-degree spine on it, and it is small, light, and compact, and it's a much smaller, more compact sheath. Okay. This is the runner-up. Okay. Also want you to know I considered a Mora. But in doing so, I also had to consider a Granddaddy Barlow. Now I've demonstrated in videos this before, that when you open up a Granddaddy Barlow and lay it beside a Mora, they're almost the same size. As far as blade and everything, the handle, all of it, this is about the size of a Mora fixed blade knife. And as long as you realize it is not a pry bar and etc., these serve just fine as a little bitty craft knife, woods knife, bush knife. As long as you realize you can't baton on it, can't beat on it, etc. But it does not have 90-degree spines on it. And so that kind of X'd it out, sadly. Also looked at a Swiss Army type pocket knife. In fact, my everyday carry, as you all know, is the Fieldmaster, which not only has the 2 blades, the scissors, it also has a very good saw. And that would be a real plus in this. So following that line, I made my choice. And my choice is this. I'm not going to use the sheath. I'm just going to use the knife. And that knife is an old timer that's got a good size, stiff, locking blade knife. That's good broad blade, good hand filling handle. I can do a lot of work with that. But also, most importantly, hooking the tip and going up is a very usable saw, and it locks. The lock is on the saw, not on the knife blade. So for all those things I'd have to do of building a shelter, etc., this little saw, which is several inches wide, would be very, very useful. So that's the reason I'm going with this, because of its saw, because it's thin, it's compact, and it's robust, and this would be what I'd do. So that slides in right down there. So now that completes the cutting. Now for cordage, I haven't brought it with me, but you know, I'm just going to put a donut of 550 paracord and another small donut of bank line in there with it. That's it. So cordage. Cutting tool, combustion, cordage, container, cover, candling device, compass, cargo tape, canvas needle. The only thing I'm missing is cotton cloth. And that will be this bandana right here that I will strip off of my neckerchief. It has 1,001 uses. It's 100% cotton, so it can be used for a lot of things. It's a triangular bandage. It can be used as a tourniquet. It can be used to help make splints, to make arm slings, to make everything else, to help filter water, to get hot things out of the fire. 1,001 uses. And it also compresses down very small and compact. So, rolling it down, just like that, I tuck it in right here. Now I bring that cover over the top, just like this, extend it out. Again, the only thing I haven't put in here is the cordage and that piece of fat wood. Well, you know that. And I can easily, I still got room in there, and I'll show you the room. There that is, pull out that. There's how much room's in there. See, I still got plenty of room for the cordage. In fact, I could, just to say, I can take that small fixed blade right now and wedge it in right there into that kit and have two blades. I got a saw, I got another blade. Now I come out here and I open this up. So it'll go down and lock, cinch her up, and there's my minimum kit. This small kit that you're looking at right there, you see how big that is compared to my hand. It probably weighs 3 pounds or less. I'm going to be generous and say 3 pounds or less. More than likely this is more like 2 pounds. But that right there, riding on a belt or hooked right there to be on a sling, will cover the 10 C's. I have a shelter. I have a fire kit. I have the ability to boil and process water. I have the ability to get out of the rain, etc. I have cordage. I have cargo tape. I have a repair needle. I have all of the 10 C's right there in that small kit. Now, could I put this in the 1 quart bush pot? Find out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take that cover and I'm going to put the lid down in the very bottom. Now we'll assume at this moment, since it's already buried, that I put the aluminum foil that I put in there. I'm going to take that 1 quart Pathfinder bush pot, I'm going to put it in there. Now I'm going to take the stuff that's in here and transfer it over. Blades, fire starter, compass, with room to spare. There's more room in there. So I could take this as well, whichever one suits me better. Now that one will ride on my hip, so of course that'd be my first choice. But this right here ain't a bad choice. The 1 quart bush pot would have some advantages over that army canteen, wouldn't it? A disadvantage, it don't have that little stove already attached to it. But if I had a stove that came from Pathfinder to put on it, we'd be equal, wouldn't we? I can easily whittle me a flat stick to eat with. If it's liquid, drink it. If it's chunky, scoop it on a flat stick and eat it. You don't have to have fancy eating utensils. And so therefore, there is a 10-piece kit in a small compact. The 10-piece kit is a focused survival set, but it's more than that. It's a mental exercise of how small, within reason, and real world usable we need to go. I am a big fan of those little bitty survival kits as a mental exercise, and I have been really impressed with some of the stuff the guys have came up with in things. Really impressed. But at the same time, they're not really practical when it's really this is all you got. Could I hand you one of those ALTOIDS survival kits and that's all you got for 72 hours? You very well may be able to survive well with that. Better have a good skill level. On the other hand, if I handed you this, would you have a better chance? Hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button before you go. I'll greatly appreciate it. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.